And that sound means we are live on YouTube. I'm assuming, Matt, I'm actually keeping watching our YouTube channel. I know that we're here without Cody. So the mistake probability goes up from like a 2 delta, maybe to a 6 delta. I'm not sure yet. How you doing today, brother?
I'm doing very good, Tim. And yes, when Cody's not here to take us live on YouTube, the probability of us being successful and going on YouTube is a, what, 30 delta?
I don't know, but we just did succeed. I do see it live now, and I've got confirmation. So we've got confirmation of our trade,
Come
conservative
on.
confirmation.
It's deep in the money. It's like a .8 delta. Let's just deal with it.
It is.
All right. I like it. I like it.
Markets are stalling here, guys. Not a lot going on the market here today. We were down early in the morning. We're waiting on some Chair Palman or Powell testimony, but he doesn't really testify in front of Congress and answer questions till tomorrow, Matt. What are you reading in the market right now?
It's just kind of waiting on that Powell testimony, Tim. That's what everybody's waiting on. The market doesn't have a lot of news coming out today. We do have things to talk about. Boeing, Morgan Stanley and Pepsi having their earnings today. But from an overall market standpoint, we don't have anything economically. We have the Fed tomorrow. We have multiple Fed multiple Fed speeches today. I think the fireworks really kind of start tomorrow, though, with Powell's testimony. And then you have the CPI report coming on Thursday as well. So that's going to be an important day from an economic perspective. But let's take a very quick look at the technical situation here, because yesterday when we were breaking down the technical analysis of the market, Tim, we talked about the market pulling back down into the breakout channel. And that's exactly what we saw today as the market kind of came down on the overnight action, hitting that support level. And then from the cash open, you really saw that coming right back up. And if you drop this down into that 30-minute chart, you can kind of see this old resistance zone over here at 2960. That's, if you come back to the daily chart, that's this range over here, right here, T. So when you drop that down once again into that 30-minute chart, you see that overhead resistance at 2960 before it pulled back the first time. And then when it broke out, it really played defense at that 2960 before we had that nice run up coming into the first part of last week on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. When you set the all-time high on Thursday, and then you start coming back down into the channel, coming in to test that 2960. And I want to show you something here from a technical perspective that I feel is fairly important. When you're dealing with these types of retracements, you could categorize it a retracement, Tim. You can categorize it a flag pattern. But when you have these types of situations and you develop these trend lines on the retracement, you see that very consistent trend line. And then as it comes down into that support level around 2960, well, what did we see on the overnight coming in when the European markets opened? This is right when the European markets opened. This is the Asian markets opening up right here. And right when the European markets open up, you see that double bottom type scenario, a slight inverted head and shoulders formation at that support level. And then you have the cash open coming into right here, and you see that kind of breakout. And what I like about what I'm seeing here is you're not only double bottoming down here at your support level on the retracement, you're breaking back up above this intraday resistance trend line that you can see here that I've drawn. And not only that, but then you break up above the previous day's low right there as well. And I feel like you have a very significant trigger right here. And let me show you kind of the evidence at 2980. Resistance right here, support right there, resistance over there. And so the market most likely coming into the midday low, the market most likely is going to do a little bit of a fade action right here, right around 2980. And then I think it's going to be important on the that last 30 minutes, that last hour of the trading day. If you can get back up above 2980, you should see price appreciation. And if you come back to the daily chart, look at the type of candle that's forming here. That is a hammer type candle coming off a pivot type bounce. That's what you want to see, but confirmation would have to be above 2980.
Yeah, I like all of that deep technical analysis. There's no doubt about it. And that 2960 did hold very, very nicely. I was coming in this morning and I went through all of my bullish watch list, Matt, all the candidates from over the weekend, the stock report and the option report. And a lot of the ones that I was focused on, hyper focused on, was going to be the bullish stuff because I liked the pullback. It's not really a retracement by definition because we only have the two red candles.
It's a flag.
Yeah, a little flag pattern. Mark, what's your read on the technical situation on the S&P right now?
Oh, Matt nailed it. Like, I don't have anything to add that would add to that thing. I mean, it's just, mine's more on the sentiment side. I mean, we all know we're waiting for Powell to screw up and say something stupid. the next couple days for a sell-off, or if he sticks to script, market could be looking at all-time highs. So
He's got to stick to script, don't you think?
I think that's his plan, but you never know. The right staffer gives the right congressman the right question, and you never know.
Well, the one thing I think you'll see tomorrow is Powell reaffirming the Fed's independence. There's a lot of information that, Powell's, capitulating into political pressure. So I think Powell's going to reaffirm the Fed independence, and then he's going to basically capitulate into political pressure and cut one time in July. But like I said yesterday, and like I said on the podcast, I'm not there yet. I want to hear Powell's testimony first.
A couple of companies I want to take a quick peek at before we move on from the S&P. Number one, Freeport-McMoRan Copper and Gold. And when you read this name, and I love this company, Matt, but when you read this name, you hear gold, but what you should also read is copper, and it's been down.
Copper.
Yeah. It's been bearish. It's breaking down to the downside here, down about 4.5%. Mark, what's going on with the copper markets? You do a lot of commodity analysis for us.
Listen, I detailed Freeport on the commodity report. I spent the whole report on this company 5-6 weeks ago. Because we had numerous students come in and say, because if you go back on the long-term chart, around $10 is a really nice historical support level that's been tested multiple times over multiple years. And so students were asking, well, what's your take on it? So I did a deep dive. Freeport-McMoRan does about 75% of its revenue in copper, and the copper chart is terrible. And
what's copper symbol?
/HG on Thinkorswim. Yeah. And so until you see some stability there, I don't trust, because I love bottom feeding. I'm like at Tackle Trading. There's no doubt I am the #1 bottom feeder at Tackle Trading. I like stuff that's been beat up and taking a shot on it. But look at the clear air to the downside if that support breaks on copper.
Yeah, 260 is very, very important here on copper. And
if that breaks, Freeport-McMoRan, I don't care what gold's doing, is going to have a hard time holding up. And so I just don't trust Freeport as long as copper is showing signs that it might break that support level. Because, I mean, where's support?
After that, I mean, maybe 2.5.
250. But, I mean, 260 gets broken. 250 is in the headlines. 250 gets broken. At that point, it gets ugly. 2-1, 2-2. So,
and because copper is like Dr. Copper tied to the world economy, world economy's data stinks. Listen, I like buying cheap stocks and I like taking the shots, but I also like as many things in my favor as possible. And until you see some stability in copper, I just can't get behind Freeport.
Well, and you're seeing volatility pick up here in the last week and a half in copper, as well as you're seeing these big red candles come into that support level. You're seeing it on the weekly chart as well, kind of pressing down into that support level. Let's wait to see if that support level holds, but it does not look good right now for copper.
Yeah. Another company grabbing my eye, Matt, is Mosaic Chemical Company. We'll look at two bears, couple of bulls as well. I mean, Mark,
that's ugly on a weekly.
Beautiful bear pivot on the weekly. On the daily, you're seeing pressure as well. Chemicals have been really nasty for about a year now here, Mark. This company's in a longer-term downtrend. And Matt, you're talking.
Matt, draw your trend line there on the daily chart. I mean, that trend line stands out on the daily chart. Where did price action come up to? And then those trend lines are underused by traders. I think they're pretty.
It's nice. Amazing though, because they're not that hard to draw.
No, I know, but I think I think traders get lazy. Even myself, I think we get lazy a little bit and don't draw good trend lines.
I sometimes think vertical trend lines are easier to draw than horizontal trend lines because of pivot relationships, but. Traders do struggle drawing accurate trend lines, but all you're doing is connecting the dots. That's all you're doing. It's like, I always give the analogy of, it's like you have a kid and they're 4 years old and you give them a coloring book. And in that coloring book, there's this thing that is A to B to C to D. And all you have to do is connect A to B to C to D. And all of a sudden you're drawing a pattern, right? In the coloring book, the same concept here. You just connect support A, support B, support B, support C, or resistance A, resistance B, resistance C. and you see these trend lines really kind of start to form. And that's what you do on daily charts, weekly charts. That's what, I just did on the S&P 500 from an, intraday perspective.
Yeah, let's keep rocking here because I do want to get, to rapid fire by about 11 o'clock our time. AMD bullish, Matt, stock of the week a couple weeks ago on our Twitter feed and our Instagram feed and all that kind of stuff. And what a beautiful deep pullback into the bull zone. I know that a lot of this was propelled by Micron earnings, but it's bullish. I mean, just what a juggernaut here, Matt.
It's a company I really, really like. There's no doubt about that. And it's obviously a very, very, very popular stock to trade, one of the most liquid stocks in the marketplace. But this retracement was tough to trade.
Yeah,
I'm willing to bet a lot of traders got shaken out before you saw this type of price movement get back up into the $33 range. There's no trade here if you're approaching that 34. But if you can break out a 34, you should see some selling to the top side.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then Netflix, Matt. Netflix has been price appreciating up towards resistance. We're actually pushing up against some major levels here. We had a debate on the podcast just the other day about Netflix or Disney, and Netflix is obviously showing some strength here today. Give me a read on this chart.
Yeah, long-term trend right here. You're seeing the horizontal trend line really kind of shake, form around 386, 387. If you drop this down into the weekly chart, you see that level just hit. You break that level, Netflix should fly.
Mm-hmm. Amazon, I've been talking about this company for a long time, and I don't have any current trades on it. I kind of missed this little hesitation retracement, Matt. I've been wanting this stock for so long. I missed the damn trade. Isn't that just a frustrating?
Well, did you miss it though? I know it's already ran, 2 weeks going into the breakout, and I get that. And everybody at Tackle would be like, "Oh, it's already ran." But you got a massive green candle on volume that midday is already above its average. That's a breakout. Maybe you don't chase it at the top of today. Maybe you wait for a little bit of a base or a little bit of an intraday pullback. But that is absolutely a stock you should be putting on your watch list. And there's a lot of way to trade that, Tim. If you're swing trading, maybe you say you're chasing it, but what's wrong with the bull put spread here on a breakout?
No, you can position trade it if you got time. Obviously earnings out there after the expiration of the July options. So you probably have about 3 weeks of time decay you could play on Amazon. There's some ways to play it still for sure. But man, I saw that movement today and I'm like, but you don't chase, right? I didn't have a trade prepped and planned, and I already had a bunch of trades going, in terms of what I was executing. And I made a bunch of entries here for bullish candidates from our reports. So say la vie, you missed some of them. And maybe I have not missed the position trade.
It is amazing.
Like it.
You've been asking for Amazon on the bull picks for
forever. And then I missed the stupid thing. Trading sometimes.
The other trades wouldn't have worked out. So you're welcome.
It's true. Boeing, by the way, was in the news here today. They had factory orders. Yeah. What was the skinny on that, Matt? I know they had an event at 11 o'clock Eastern time about the factory orders.
They announced deliveries is what they announced, and 37% decline in deliveries year over year for Boeing. And while Boeing suffers, Airbus is picking up the slack, and Airbus is up 28% in deliveries year over year. And I think the headline here, everybody knew that Boeing was going to see a reduction in year over year deliveries with what was going on with the 737 MAX plane. Mm-hmm. So it's not shocking, but Boeing in the last 8 years, guys, Boeing every single year has led the world in airplane deliveries. And now that crown is Airbus's.
That's fascinating when you think about it. That's a big deal. Obviously, 37% decline. Now, the market's not really reacting to it. Do you think that means that it was already baked in?
I don't care what the market is reacting to. There's no way I'd be touching Boeing here.
Yeah. Other Dow components, 3M was downgraded, down 2.5%. This company's been under pressure for a long time. Global economic concerns, Mark, is what I'm guessing here with 3M, but the chart just screams bearish. As we're falling. You've got earnings coming up here in a couple of weeks. Matt, what is the exact earnings date on that one for me?
Exact 25th before the market, so you'd have to do anything before the 24th.
Yeah, and I think at this point, when you're already down 2.5% on a news event, you probably have missed this one. If you're swing trading, there might be other ways to play it, but
if you look at it, and again, look at these big red candles on the daily chart, Tim, and you're like, oh, I don't want to chase that. I don't want to be the last one to get in, right? Well, you don't know if you're chasing or not until you break down the intraday data here. The massive open here, that's where you saw the biggest decrease in price. And then it's just been fading to you. That's all it's been doing for the last 2.5 hours in the market. You're having a very clear level of support getting formed right around 164.50. So if you miss the trigger on the daily chart, drop it down into an intraday, read the price action, look for retracement, look for low bases, and that's what's happening on 3M right now.
And we're going to look at a lot of individual companies, obviously, during our rapid fire section. Is there anything else in stocks that's grabbing your attention, guys? I mean, I'm seeing Pepsi earnings.
Pepsi earnings came out today, and a little bit surprised on the actual price action, but Pepsi actually reported $1.54 earnings per share versus the expectation of $1.49. They came in at 16.4 billion versus 16.4 billion on the expectation. So they came in line with guidance on revenues. They beat earnings per share. And on their forward guidance, they reaffirmed their forward guidance for earnings per shares for 2020 as well. So all in all, a fairly decent earnings report. Obviously, the market doesn't like it, down 1% on the day, but it has not broke its trend. You're still looking at a short-term neutral type situation with Pepsi, and a longer-term, very consistent uptrend on Pepsi. No trade here within neutrality when you're dealing with, potential continuation or reversal patterns here. But again, looking at the strength of that longer-term trend, the trade would have to start with a breakout.
Yeah, I agree. Mark, what about you? Anything in the stock side of it before we move on to currency and commodity?
Dude, I am so freaking bored with the stock market. I need to sell a put. Whenever I get bored,
I already told you. Sell a put on Pinterest.
But I got to sell it on the broad market just so something happens.
He does this, Matt. He'll sell a naked put.
My guilty pleasure.
It's a guilty pleasure that has no impact on the market at all.
But at least I get paid for being bored.
You do, but all I'm suggesting is if you're looking for a naked put on a company you want to own to do covered calls to start doing the boomerang trade, you can sell a naked put at the very low price of the IPO on Pinterest right now. And you could look at this for a 38-day contract. You come down to that $23 contract, 20 delta. You're selling that put option. You're getting paid $60 a contract versus a buying power of $234 a contract. I'm not going to do, I don't know exactly what that ROI, but it's about 28% on an 80% probability on a stock that I kind of like.
Listen, I could get talked into anything right now.
Did I talk you into the put option?
I'm going to do it. Heck with it. Let's do it. I'm going to find it right now.
I also
I want the market right now to be like Russell Crowe and Gladiator, and I want it to scream, "Are you entertained yet?" Because right now I'm not entertained. So I'll sell a put, get paid for
Russell Crowe. He has a new series out where he played that guy from Fox News. I'm interested in it. It's like an 8-part TV series. I don't know what it is. You know, Roger Ailes, the guy who built the Fox News empire?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Russell Crowe actually was the guy who played him, and it sounded fascinating. He was on doing some interviews talking about it, and he had to gain a bunch of weight to do it. He's an incredible actor, actually.
He's a great actor.
Yeah.
But all I'm saying is if you're bottom feeding, Mark, okay, and we all know you like to bottom feed here. There's not a better situation to bottom feed by selling a naked put on a stock at the IPO low price.
Yeah.
It's aggressive. It's aggressive.
Pinterest, obviously, on our stock of the week at Instagram. It was on our option report this past week as well. And I was doing some deep dives into some of their fundamentals, Matt. They're a growth company and they're an IPO company, and they're one that I really like. We all kind of like.
You know what I could be convinced in? A strangle 25 delta.
I like that right now. Volatility build.
Well, look, you're in the middle of the range.
Yeah.
Volatility build coming into earnings. Let's go out 129. $22 contract versus, we'll say, let's match deltas. 35 contract. Volatility, I could be top 10.
I think a positive Vega strategy does make a lot of sense on Pinterest as well.
It does, actually. I like that better than sell it than naked put.
Yeah.
Me too. I like the volatility build here.
Stay bored, Mark, and make money. By the way, that is a good life lesson out there. Stay bored, make money. Somebody put that in the chat for me.
You know what bored is? A straddle strangle on implied volatility as you watch that stock over the next month.
Well, and Matt, I'll just give a shout out to Jack Schwager, who you and he had such a wonderful interview yesterday on our podcast. If you've not listened to the Jack Schwager interview, and he talked about the same mindset. You know, markets are supposed to be a little bit boring. You're supposed to be bored, you know?
Yeah, the Jack interview. I mean, that was a bucket list for me too. I absolutely loved doing that interview. I mean, that was the first book I ever read as a young trader, and to be able to interview him on a podcast, I was pretty excited. And Jack, that's the first time I've ever spoken to Jack, and it was just like two traders having a conversation.
Listen, it is a must, no matter what you do today or tomorrow. Top priority if you're a trader. I don't care if you're new, intermediate, advanced. There were so many pearls of wisdom. Go to tradingjustice.com. It's right there, episode 329, an interview with Jack Schwager, absolutely author of Market Wizards. I mean, it's just pearls of wisdom that will make you a better trader just by listening to him talk.
And there were tons, but that was one of those pearls of wisdom, was staying bored, that trading should be.
He did. He said trading's boring.
And Slavic sent me a message last night after he listened to it. He says, that just reaffirmed my entire philosophy to the market, because I just want to stay bored. Right?
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Stay
bored, make money. I like it. You know, cash flow, Vega, all those things. When you're doing it properly, if your heart is racing every morning waiting for the markets, you're probably doing something wrong in position sizing.
And by the way, Tim, we will have that interview transcribed and the actual video interview on YouTube later on this week.
Yeah, I'm catching really good action in Facebook right now, Matt. I did play a breakout on this one. Full disclosure, I bought it this morning on that 197.5 trigger. Here's an example where aggressive versus conservative triggering. On the option report, we had a $200 trigger. I'm a day trader though. And I might actually sell this by the end of the day. I was watching this thing open up this morning, broke above 197. I pulled the trigger on it.
Listen, Tim,
is the strongest.
Sometime in the future, Facebook will release their dating service in the United States, and you just came up with their tagline. I'm catching some pretty good action on Facebook this morning.
Oh,
there's the tagline right there.
I thought Facebook was the original dating app. Isn't that why it was created?
But they have a special dating app service that they do overseas that are testing.
So Facebook's getting into the dating game, the crypto game, the everything game.
They have no limits to them. This is why you trust the Zuck.
Well, and Tim, let me speak to your entry trigger here on the aggressive side. If you look at module 4 of the step system, we talk about aggressive entries from a day trading perspective with the anticipation to perhaps roll it into a swing trade. And so when you're making decisions to aggressively enter and to conservatively enter, and aggressive versus conservative is simply, do you wait for confirmation, or do you put the order in above the price level that you want to get into it? And when you're being aggressive getting into the entry, a lot of times you're looking at day trading techniques when you're kind of really in the back of your mind, you're thinking about, well, I'm entering as a day trade technique, but I'm really turning this into a swing trade if it does confirm.
Correct.
And that is a wonderful, wonderful technique to be aggressive in terms of your entry. Another thing to think about between aggressive versus conservative entries is when you're prepping the trade, and let's say you have a 2-to-1 reward to risk ratio at your first target, and you have a 5-to-1 reward to risk ratio at your secondary target. When you have a substantial return versus risk from a aggressive style of entry, maybe you say, let me give up a little bit of that return for additional probabilities on confirmation. So there's a lot that goes into the determination of being aggressive versus conservative. But what you did, that's a great technique. I mean, that's just step system 101.
Well, and that's one of the reasons why I missed out on some of the other ones, like Amazon I was talking about. One of my firm beliefs about trading is you can't watch everything. And my short-term watch list, Facebook went onto it and some other companies came off. And I usually update my watch list on Sunday after all the reports come out, just like most of our students probably do as well, to get ready for the week. And this is one I was targeting. There's a lot of really good picks this week on that options and stock report, by the way. There are many, many candidates that triggered either yesterday or this morning. So even though the markets are a little bit boring, there's a lot of action developing on a stock pickers basis. Matt, let's quickly move through the dollar and the commodities markets real quick. And dollar up, but not a lot. Anything to see here until Powell testifies tomorrow?
No, there's nothing to see until Powell testifies.
I agree with that. Move on to crude oil.
Let me just preempt you. There's nothing to see here yet.
And gold?
Gold, There's nothing to see here yet. However, I will tell you, and we talked about it yesterday, the dollar's been going up and gold has been holding defense. Today, dollar up. What's gold doing? It's neutral.
Neutral, still playing defense. Yeah.
That's positive for gold in the short term.
And gold has been doing some version of this for months and months. There have been many dollar rallies where support, short-term support, gold is held. It has shown that type of internal strength for many months now. So, and that is a strong sign.
I don't think it's the inverted relationship to the dollar. I think it's simply because gold is a safe haven and people are taking a safe haven position here. And by the way, the dollar is a safe haven as well. So gold, you got to love that gold's playing defense here.
Quick look at the pound dollar cross pair, if you will. I just want to show people a very simple currency pair setup that you could have played recently. You know, Forex is still a wonderful market for technical trading, short-term trading. This thing was just clearly breaking down, Matt. Now you have a megaphone pattern almost developing where you have expanding ranges. It would be at a profit target. Man, that pound has just been under pressure once the dollar has started to rally. Interesting chart.
Well, look at that right there. That is megaphone. It's hard to find megaphone patterns.
Yeah, you've got one here.
I literally was doing it in the step system. I'm like, I don't even want to put the megaphone in here because it's tough to trade and it's tough to find. But good catch there, Jim. That's megaphone.
Yeah, and
very consistent on this trend line here on the bottom too.
By the way, take a look at Bitcoin. It is holding and running and actually up from where we talked about it yesterday. Bitcoin, 12,700, 800, whatever the heck it is right now. Just obviously strength. Anything new here from either of you guys?
No, let's wait to see how it behaves at 13,000. It has not. It is not closed above 13,000 in this price movement. A close to me would be significant for Bitcoin.
The uptrend in the short term does continue. Markets don't have a lot of overall market news, tell Powell testimony, but we do have some economic data through the week, by the way, just to make note. If you are a currency trader, the CAD BOC rate statement tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock, be aware of it. And then Powell testimony is the big thing through the week.
Earnings CPI on Thursday, PPI on Friday.
And then more earnings stuff next week, actually more than this week, kind of tepid this week. But let's get right into rapid fire. You know, our halftime report here, we try to keep it fast and furious and fun and all of those other kind of things. But one thing I really love doing is just looking at charts. You know, quite frankly, it's one of my favorite things about trading, just going through your charts, finding opportunities, analyzing them, preparing them. And we're going to start breaking them down one at a time. You know, when I'm thinking about trading, Mark, there are different time frames that you can trade. And I would say most of our students out there probably are either swing traders or position traders. We were having a conversation this morning while I was drinking my coffee. What is your preferred style of trading this year, by the way?
Cash flow position.
Yeah.
Both driven by my beliefs in market players holding basically having my back. I mean, we joke about Powell having my back, Trump having my back, Saudi princes having my back. But I mean, that
it's
is
not wrong though.
I mean, that has been my belief. So I have been willing to lose more on trades I place, not relying on short-term stops to play the longer trend. I'm willing to get into deeper pullbacks when they occur on these rock stars. I mean, you go to PayPal on a weekly chart. I mean, that thing has been beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, the day chart can be choppy from time to time, but look at that weekly chart. And so for a position trader such as myself this year that plays these longer term trends with this belief that I have market players having my back, well, you know, obviously it's been correct so far this year.
Mm-hmm.
It's been correct this far this year. Now, if those sons of bitches ever don't have my back, then I'm going to take a bigger loss than a swing trader. But until I see something to indicate that they don't, and Powell's huge. Powell's huge the next couple of days. Because as long as he doesn't come out and say, nope, I'm a man and I'm going to raise rates or I'm not going to cut rates just because everybody wants me to. And, you know, as long as something like that. But if it happens, well, then we readjust. We're like, oh, there's new information. And it's one of the things Jack Schwager talked about yesterday. You have to listen to that podcast. There were so many pearls of wisdom. You know, I felt like I was getting smarter listening to it.
Well, that's the beauty of it, right?
And I loved what Jack said. He says, what was it about traders being, when you and Matt, when you and Jack were talking about flip-flopping?
Oh, we were talking about, how traders, we can't get stuck in our opinions on a position. We can't fall in love with a position, and we have to be objective. And, I made the joke that, people like to make fun of politicians for being flip-floppers, but, just think about what traders do. We'll flip-flop on a dime.
Yeah. And so as long as there's nothing change, I'll continue what I'm doing, position trading, playing these deeper pullbacks. But if something changes, well, I'm going to flip-flop and be like, yeah, well, I got new information. I'm doing something different now.
Yeah. And if you guys like that podcast and you get some pearls of wisdom like the rest of us did, help us out a little bit at Trading Justice. Leaving a review at iTunes would be very, very helpful.
And great podcast to share with a friend. Great podcast to share with a friend. It really was it was world-class interview. I mean, Jack Schwager, there's a reason he's a best-selling author. That guy is sharp.
I'm telling you right now, I was a little nervous going into the interview, but it was one of the easiest interviews I've ever done.
Oh, Jack's a real guy.
He's just a real dude.
He loves markets. It's infectious. It's a good life lesson. If you just have a passion for something, you'll tend to be a lot more interesting. I'll tell you that. And I loved it.
One of my favorite things about it was when we were talking about his trading is that, no, I'm not a very good trader, but I'm profitable. And I'm like, that's one of the keys. Be humble, right? Be humble as a trader.
Well, this is a guy who interviews billionaires, so he doesn't want to put himself up there. I think he's controversial for a reason, right?
I agree. But I'm looking forward to his new Market Wizards book coming out next year.
I agree. We'll get him back on. Matt, we got a bunch of symbols coming in here finally. You always get a little bit of lag on YouTube, but when we do rapid fire, punch a symbol in, we'll look at them. We're going to run through these, Matt. AME from Bob LeBlanc. Bob, always great to see your name. Loyal halftime crew in here most every day. Matt, I'm going to have you take this one.
Very similar to what the market technical read on the market is. You got a nice little bullish uptrend. You got a flag-based pattern. I would not call this a bullish retracement. I don't think it's deep enough, and I don't like the pivot relationship. But I do like what's happening here on the flag. You're also coming into this 9 EMA, and then once again, whenever you have an analyst, whenever you're looking at a flag-based pattern, you drop it down into that 30-minute chart. You find your trend line wherever you want to put that top of that trend line. You draw your trend line down and you wait for it to break out of that trend line. Good stock, good trend, good pattern.
Very, very good. Tandem. I'm going to have Mark take this one right here. Healthcare and interesting. TNDM.
I need healthcare. Is that what you're saying?
Hey, there's a reason why healthcare is now 17% of the U.S. GDP instead of 9%. We have an aging population for sure.
Just wait 5 years from now.
Yeah.
Short term, and it's not even short term, it's intermediate consolidation, trading within a broad range. These type of patterns are very difficult to trade for swing traders, even position traders, until you have a breakout of support or resistance. They're really difficult stocks to do anything other than long-term invest, buying off support levels. Really tough trading.
Very illiquid too, and random, Mark.
Yeah, it's really tough trading patterns when you get in these multi-month consolidations until you have a breakout.
Yeah.
Next, Square. I'll take this one. Payment processing companies have been so hot for a long time. Square finally catching up.
That's a breakout. First break traders love that one.
Yeah, a little run there, about $75 would have been an intraday trigger here, Matt. Right at the open, just started take off and boom, 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 boom. Clear volume here.
What's the news?
I'm looking for it right now. Obviously, something happened here.
Halftime crew. Let's move on. Halftime crew. Find us the news on Square. What's going on?
Dude, it might just be traders and computers.
No, it's an upgrade.
It's an upgrade.
Yeah, Raymond James moved it from underperform to market perform, which if you're market performing in this industry, you're probably doing really well. And upgrade. Raymond James upgrade.
Solid breakout.
Yeah. Beautiful looking breakout. Get that one on a watch list. There's other resistance there that if you break, you've got clear air back to last year's high mark from 80, 82.50, somewhere in that range. I know we got earnings coming up later in the month as well. NRG, let's give this one to Matt.
We looked at NRG yesterday.
I think we've seen it a couple of times.
I think we looked at NRG yesterday. My analysis is the same. When you're looking at the utility sector here and you see strength with perhaps a breakout of 61, and you're looking at NRG here, you're completely underperforming what's happening in the broad market. You're underperforming what's happening in the sector, and it's just something you don't want to really kind of look at. Even a bottom feeder like Mark would probably be like, "Nah, the sector's hot, and this isn't."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, if I was going to bottom feed, I'd wait for it to come down to the support level and then confirm and then hang out there for several days.
But the problem with utilities, there's no volatility there to really kind of do boomerang style trades.
Mm-hmm. I agree. American Express will be easy analysis. I'll pitch this one over to Mark as well. Mark, you've been talking about some of the.
And I'm old and incapable.
You mentioned PayPal earlier. Same sector, right?
Same thing. It's a beautiful, listen, that resistance level is clean. It's clear. Breakout of that is going to be a very, very clear signal that everybody's going to see. Definitely. I mean, that is way up there on the priority list on your watch list right now.
Here's the future of American Express: breakout run, overextended, flag, breakout run.
So that should be at the top of everybody's watch list right now.
It's been beautiful, been strong all year. And Matt,
it's a cup and handle.
Mm-hmm.
It's a cup and handle, which is a consolidation formation at the top of a bullish uptrend. And when you see a cup and handle type formation, you wait for the breakout, because the breakout starts a new trend.
Yeah, ADI, next one here. I'll take this one. And analog devices, little bit of a retracement. I don't like it, though. I mean, you gapped out on a red candle, big red candle, pulling it back deeply. I don't like the nature of that kind of price action. It's fine. I think there's better retracements in the market if I was digging for one, Matt.
Yeah, go look at the stock and the options report. You'll find them very easy.
Personally, that's what my take would be. IQ and Chinese tech here, and very interesting. Matt, give me a read on that one.
Interesting little setup here, Tim. Nice bearish trend here, double bottom formation, breakout on strong volume, clearing all your overhead resistance levels, get overextended up into 22, bullish retracement coming back down into a breakout channel. If I remove IQ from the equation, this is a reversal plus confirmation with a beautiful type setup to the top side with the trigger above $20.
Let me get both your take on this. Would you do boomerangs, naked puts on anything to do with China that's sensitive to trade war news right now?
No.
Yeah, stay away from that. Maybe play it directionally.
When's it going to pop up again? That thing lays dormant.
Thursday, Friday, next week.
That trade war stuff lays dormant, then all of a sudden, boom.
I do like.
There's just so many other choices.
Well,
there's so many other choices.
Listen, if I'm gonna trade Chinese tech right now, or whatever is coming out in China, it's going to be from a short-term directional perspective.
Yeah, sure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And this is setting up. You do have a very clean trigger above 20 here.
And by the way, we got 3 more here. We're going to go through rapid fire. And if you're here joining us for our live halftime show, I know the markets are a little sleepy, but there's always action. And we always appreciate you guys coming in here. Let's go through Lulu, and we'll just go oldest to youngest here. Mark, you're first. I mean, Mark old like 5 times today, by the way.
Yeah,
you're going to pay for that later. Mark is a very prideful individual with a very good memory, and he plays the long game on this one.
Oh, no, don't worry.
He probably wrote it down.
Nice situation the last couple of weeks. If you draw a resistance level at that old resistance peak, price action came down. Down the last one. Price action came down, found support in that zone, and then has bounced up. Lulu has been hot intermediately for several years now, has had some good runs. People like this company. They just do. They like this company, and the earnings reports recently have given investors a lot of confidence.
I like this company.
I don't know if it was their CEO or their CFO or whoever says, are you ever going to, how do you feel about $100 yoga pants? And he said something like, the only thing I don't like about $100 yoga pants is we should make them $110.
I like that.
Increase those margins. If people are going to pay $100 for yoga pants, this company is going to continue to make.
I like retail stocks with a loyal customer base.
Yeah.
And Lulu has a loyal customer base. As long as we don't go into a recession, because nobody buys $100 yoga pants in a recession.
You know who else is a retail company with a loyal customer base is Yeti, YETI, Matt. I got Got to tell you, we talked about this one a few weeks ago on the halftime report when it was deep down here and it was coming back up on the reversal. And we talked about how breakout was tradable and a good signal, and boom, here we are. And same kind of company as Lulu, by the way. I know that they're in different formations and they're also in different stages of their life cycle because Yeti just IPO'd last year. But I love this company.
Look how my girlfriend's doing there. That 9 EMA, like little short-term downtrend, stayed above, but as soon as it closed above, just took off. I mean, these really fast-moving stocks like Yeti, boy, these short-term indicators can be really, really powerful when you get reversals and crossovers and closes above and confirmation above these moving average on some of these things. And I mean, Yeti's playing out textbook on a
Your
momentum.
girlfriend loves the 9. Your girlfriend loves Yeti.
Yeah. Yep. Very much so.
Yeah.
Which means you're chasing dragons if you're buying.
Oh yeah, right now, like wait for that pullback.
Wait for the kiss off the 9 here.
Yeah, I agree.
Cheap risk, tight stop, easy trade.
No, Tim, I remember a month ago you were saying you were doing naked puts or something when it was down on Yeti. Mm-hmm. Another good call, which is why when you had that put on Krone, I refused to not make money anymore when you said something.
Well,
that's my new thing.
It's obviously a lot easier to trade confidently when you know the companies that you're watching. And especially for my boomerang list, like the dirty, sexy money stocks and the companies that I keep track of regularly. And by the way, Pinterest is on that list, Mark. I watch Pinterest and I've been digging into it quite a bit.
Pinterest is going to be on DSM next year.
Yeah, it will be.
I'm selling a put right now.
I'd be shocked.
Yeah.
Now, if I lose money, this is your fault.
But hold on. I need to get credit when you make money. Bring up Kron, Matt.
If I make money, I just make money.
He's got $10 a contract right now on his puts on Kron.
When it was down a nickel, he was complaining. Now that it's up, I don't hear a word. He still hasn't made hardly anything. But Mark, you still have the opportunity to exit this trade if you'd like to for a $10 profit.
No, because I want every damn dollar out of it.
Oh, good.
Being Mark's younger brothers, this is literally lose-lose scenarios.
Always. Because we'll pay for it in the game and the podcast at some point in the future, Matt. I guarantee it.
Well, not us. I have not been calling Mark old today. That next.
I was trying to group us together here, and you.
Oh my goodness! I mean, this is what happens. I'm on this show, 3 days in a row, and instead of all of my nice, boring Coca-Colas and Intels, you got me invested in Kron and Pinterest, and my goodness gracious.
Mark's the most boring bottom feeder dividend paying type guy. Mark's Warren Buffett style.
Here I am, like, let's buy some Pinterest. The hell with it. Let's do it.
Linda, I think you probably need a retest of the breakout at 30. Something you're going to need price action develop. She asked, "What's a good entry point for Yeti?"
Watch the 9. Watch slowing momentum at the 9.
Yeah, somewhere around there. 2 more quick ones: Delta Airlines and Costco. Matt, you take Delta. I'll take Costco.
Oh, I haven't looked at Delta for a while.
Earnings up here.
Earnings coming up tomorrow.
Delta's these airlines are great examples of bottom feeding when they get down in these support areas like they did earlier this year, or they get down lower. Mm-hmm. I love bottom feeding airlines. Unfortunately, right now we're at the top.
Delta, yeah.
But right now we're
Verizon.
at the top.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yep.
Making money.
Here's what I would say on Delta. 60 is important. You have earnings in 2 days. Let's see the earnings report and let's see how it behaves on the gap above 60. If it gaps down, I mean, you're talking bottom feeding, and then we're talking what Mark was talking about. But if you have a good earnings report with a breakout of 60 and a close above 60, price appreciation should happen.
It's got about a 6% average gap here, Matt. What's the MMM on this one?
Delta's at 6?
Well, I'm just looking at the history. No, it does not. It's looking like only a 3.
No way Delta's a 6.
Last earnings, it didn't, or no, that was a non-earnings gap. Look at that thing.
Yeah, this is non-earnings. Delta doesn't do anything on its gap. Anything. I mean, you're talking, maybe you can do a short strangle deep out of the money, but you would have to go out.
No, I don't think so. I think it's a post-earnings play. Yeah.
I just sold a July 19, 25 put, full disclosure.
On Pinterest?
Pinterest.
There you go, buddy.
There you go, my friend. All right.
If I lose money, I swear to God, I'm coming over to your house and I'm stealing so much beer from your house.
That's a 20 delta contract with a 40% probability of touch. You might lose money.
Well, then I'm going to have a lot of beer from Tim's fridge to make off for my loss.
You're more than welcome to raid my beer fridge. There's no doubt about it. Last one, Costco, Matt, the big box retailer. Surprisingly, a lot of these companies have actually been doing really, really well recently. And Costco, beautiful breakout, high base.
Beautiful breakout.
Yep.
Beautiful breakout. It should see price running here, but yeah, Costco, beautiful breakout. Not a very consistent trend, not very easy to trade. I don't short-term trade Costco, but position trade with a breakout on top of that. I could see that.
One of my favorite strategies to position trade is the bull call spread. Debit spreads I like because then you're mitigating theta, but every trader has to have their own style when you're position trading, swing trading, or day trading. There's no question about that. Matt, we are releasing module 6 of the STEP system. We had a huge podcast yesterday. We're going Coach's Show live tonight on module 5 with Coach Noah and Greg. We have so much going on.
The amount of great things we have happening between tackle trading and trading justice for our community is it's up there, bro. It's up there. I mean, the STEP system, finally, module 6 is being released today. That's the entire STEP system, teaching everybody how to properly use those scour reports from an entry, stop, targeting perspective, obviously teaching trends and patterns and candlestick analysis as well. And I hope you guys have thoroughly enjoyed the STEP system. I hope it's helped you guys get better as a trader, get more consistent as a trader, and have more confidence as a trader, because it takes all of that to be a successful trader, and it takes long term. And what I would say is, if you're in your early stages of learning how to trade, just keep perspective. It's like Warren Buffett said just the other day: get rich slow, guys. Get rich slow. Stay consistent. You're going to have up days and down days, up weeks and down weeks, up months and down months. Stay consistent. You learn how to be a trader and investor, not for the next five minutes, and not for the next 5 months, but for the next 50 years. And so be consistent with that. The STEP system is certainly going to help you be that. So, make sure you're watching the STEP system. And by the way, we're going to have mastermind groups for the STEP system as well. We're going to be starting those mastermind groups for the STEP system in August. But I'm going to tell you right now, guys, nobody is attending the mastermind groups for the STEP system unless you have completed the entire STEP system modules. Because when we get into those mastermind groups, it is about application. And I don't want basic questions that the STEP system answers. So make sure you get through the STEP system so you can be attending those mastermind groups starting in August.
And listen to Jack Schwager. You literally will become smarter listening to Jack in that interview. TradingJustice.com, episode 329. It's right at the start of the podcast. And you will literally, I don't like say this all the time on interviews, and then when I enjoy him, Jack just had so much common sense.
He's such a good dude.
Such a basic trading common sense.
Mark, how many people have we spoken to from a trader's perspective, and you talk to them and they think a lot of themselves, right? A lot of vanity, a lot of, oh, look at me. And here's Jack. I mean, 1A or 1B of the best trading book of all time.
I listened to Jack and I was like, Mark, you need to stop being such an arrogant SOB.
Yeah, it's true.
Internally, because that's never going to change. But you got to at least paint it a little bit better.
I will say one last thing about the STEP system, guys. For those of you who are not pro members of Tackle Trading, get over there to tackletrading.com. You can sign up for a 15-day free trial member, and you can test out the STEP system, because unlike any other company that is similar to Tackle, nobody gives a 10-hour system away for free to their members.
Yeah,
that's what Tackle is, and that's what separates Tackle Trading from everybody else. Is everything we do is for our community and increasing the financial IQ of our community and increasing the financial independence of our community. And we do it one trade at a time, one system at a time, one product at a time. And so if you're not a member of the Tackle Pro members, guys, just ask any pro member. You don't have to hear us say it. Our members will say it for them. They love Tackle Trading because we are all part of the same community.
And by the way, just to pump up me trying to get the record on the option report, there are some stocks triggering there. No, it's not even going to be close yet, because we don't even log the data till next.
We won't even log it until
next. We won't know.
That's right.
We won't know, but I'm seeing bullish picks, by the way. I'm also seeing bearish picks that are triggering today, Matt, on both sides of the option.
And I'm seeing shameless pandering trying to break my record.
Just let him go. Let him go.
I
want records.
It's a good report. It really is. It's a good report.
All I'm going to say is the guy who kind of sits back on all of this. I love Tim and Mark competing with Gino and Noah, because all of a sudden, if Tim beats Mark's record, what's Mark going to want to do?
Well, I'll go live for a week on the option report.
Just keep it open at your house.
I'm just live. This is Mark live all week, giving you advice.
I'm not sure that's a value proposition, Mark. And do you 24-hour-a-day live stream in your house, like the what was that show with Jim Carrey back in the day?
I just want to live stream with Mark watering his grass for 4 straight hours with a beanie and 100
Listen,
degrees.
my plants are alive and thriving right now. Thank you very much.
Thanks to your younger brother, Chris, for doing that.
That's right.
If you're not a pro member, email me, team@Tackle Trading. I'll get you hooked up with a membership, get you a little bit extra time than our 15 days even today. Go check out Tim's option report. And I need some motivation. It's a good report. There are options triggering. There's some nice setups. And here's the thing. If Powell speaks tomorrow and gives the market what it wants, you are going to want exactly those bullish picks because they're going to trigger.
And if he gives the market, discriminate, guys. We do have a stock report too that people can go to.
Hey, do not distract my record. Options first.
Yeah,
right. Okay. All right. Great job today, Matt. Great job today, Mark. As always, thanks for being here, guys. Team Tackle, as always. We will see you tomorrow, same time.
Okay, we're still live.
It does say still live.
That's because I don't.